The Pacific, June 1942. The ocean stretched endlessly, a vast, shimmering desert of blue. In the distance, the tiny atoll of Midway rose from the waves like a fragile jewel. To the west, a colossal armada advanced with silent confidence. To the east, a smaller force steamed into the unknown. Neither side knew it yet, but in this remote corner of the world, the fate of a hemisphere would be decided not in months, but in minutes. This is the story of the Battle of Midway, a triumph of courage, intelligence, and resolve that turned the tide of World War II. For weeks, tension had thickened across the Pacific. After the devastating attack on Pearl Harbor, Imperial Japan seemed unstoppable, its navy dominant, its empire expanding. Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, architect of Pearl Harbor, now aimed to crush America's remaining Pacific Fleet once and for all. His target, Midway Atoll. Seize this outpost, and Japan would control the Central Pacific. But America was no longer blind. In a feat of cryptographic genius, U.S. intelligence had broken Japan's secret naval code. Commander Joseph Rockefort and his team at Station HYPO in Hawaii pieced together Yamamoto's plan. Midway was the target. The U.S. Pacific Fleet, led by Admiral Chester Nimitz, now faced an impossible choice: defend Midway with everything they had, or risk losing the Pacific. On the island itself, life held a deceptive peace. Marines drilled along sun-baked shores. Patrol planes like the PBY Catalina scanned the horizon in endless, lonely sweeps. Seabirds strutted across coral sands, oblivious to the storm gathering. In hangars, B-17 flying fortresses stood ready, symbols of America's reach, their crews preparing for missions deep into enemy waters. Back home, families watched Blue Star banners in windows, silent prayers hanging in the At 4:30 a.m., the silence shattered. A PBY Catalina spotted Japan's fleet 700 miles out. The trap was set. Over Midway, the first alarm screamed. Japanese bombers, sleek Aichi-D-3 Eval dive bombers, and Nakajima B-5N Kate torpedo planes screamed from the clouds. Anti-aircraft guns erupted in a furious barrage. Marines manned machine guns, firing into the onslaught. Bombs rained down. Hangars became infernos. Supply depots burned. 8 B-17, caught on the ground, was swallowed by flames. Amidst the smoke and chaos, medics raced to aid the wounded, while jeeps navigated streets littered with debris. Yet even as Midway endured, the true counterstroke was unfolding 200 miles out to sea. The 6 minutes that saved the Pacific. America's carriers, Enterprise, Hornet, and the miraculously repaired Yorktown, had closed in unseen. At 9:30 a.m., U.S. dive bombers reached the Japanese fleet. What happened next would echo through history. For nearly 2 hours, American torpedo squadrons attacked with near-suicidal bravery. Shot down in waves, they failed to land a single hit, but they achieved something far greater. They lured Japan's fighter cover down to sea level, leaving their carriers defenseless in the sky. Then, at 10:22 a.m., the heavens opened. 3 squadrons of U.S. SBD Dauntless dive bombers emerged from the clouds directly above the Japanese fleet. In a span of 6 minutes, they transformed the war. Akagi, hit by a single bomb that ignited fuel lines. Admiral Nagumo watched in horror as his flagship became a funeral pyre. Kaga, 3 bombs turned its flight deck into a charnel house. Soryu sank within minutes, vanishing beneath the waves. By day's end, a 4th carrier, Hiryu, would fall. Japan lost 4 irreplaceable fleet carriers, the core of its naval power. America lost just 1, the Yorktown. The balance of the Pacific had shifted forever. The human spirit amidst the storm. The battle's epic scale was matched only by its human drama. On Midway, as hangars burned, personnel hauled waterlogged planes from the lagoon. Amid black smoke, a flag was raised high on a mast, a symbol of defiance against the flames. At sea, sailors on destroyers tracked enemy planes through thickening smoke. Pilots returned to carriers, some limping on damaged wings, to debrief in tense silence. In the skies, air-sea rescue teams braved danger to retrieve downed aviators. A PBY Catalina, designed for patrol, became a lifeline, plucking heroes from the waves. When the guns fell silent, Midway was scarred but unbroken. Hangars smoldered. Crashed Japanese planes lay scattered like broken toys. The hospital stood in ruins. In the solemn aftermath, the community gathered. Flag-draped caskets rested on small ships bound for a sailor's burial at sea. A firing squad honored the fallen. Troops stood at attention, saluting not just the dead, but the fragile peace they had secured. Why Midway still matters. The Battle of Midway was not America's first victory, but it was its most consequential. Japan's navy never recovered. Its carrier force, once dominant, was crippled beyond repair. For the first time, the Allies held the initiative in the Pacific. Yet Midway's true legacy lies deeper. Intelligence triumphed. Code-breaking turned the tide. A victory of brains over brute force. Courage defined a generation. From Rockefeller's analysts to torpedo squadron pilots, ordinary people made extraordinary choices. Resilience prevailed. As flames consumed Midway's hangars, the flag still flew, a testament to unbreakable resolve. The echo of Midway. Today, Midway Atoll is a national wildlife refuge. Albatross soar over the same sands where Marines once stood guard. The lagoon cradles silent wrecks. Ghosts of Akagi and Yorktown resting side by side 17,000 feet below. But the spirit of Midway endures. In the quiet moments when we choose vigilance over complacency. In the courage to stand firm when shadows gather. In the understanding that freedom is defended not by might alone, but by the quiet resolve of those willing to watch the horizon. Admiral Nimitz later called Midway the most stunning and decisive blow in naval history. Yet its greatest lesson isn't about bombs or carriers. It's about the power of preparation, unity, and hope against impossible odds. 6 minutes of courage reshaped the world. And in that truth, we find a timeless call. To honor the watch, we must never stop keeping it.